Croeso, welcome. This is the Chalk of Oa. Couple of Welshies chill talking on the things we love in comic books, geek culture, and everything beyond. My name's Neon Tinted Tom. I got PC Vita with me. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad, dude. Not too bad. There's some news happening, right? And
we're back.
We're going to go long form in a way, probably, because this is a subject that I am very, very, very close to in terms of my heart. And that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I think it's starting to hit the fan in terms of my excitement level and just the denseness of what we may be seeing come next year on HBO Max. So what am I talking about, Rob? What's the most recent casting news that's been happening with this?
Well, two isn't it now this week?
Well,
or two on casting and reshoots, or just?
Well, yeah. Right. What I was going to say first, actually, before you start, Mr. Fish, okay, right? It's not reshoots, okay? Reshoots happening in
I was going to bring this up later.
Right? Reshoots happened in 2017 and got us into this mess in the first place. This is additional photography, but we'll talk about that later on. What's been happening? What's been happening with this cast?
Well, there's been additional photography.
There we are.
So yeah, Jared Leto, the Joker.
Okay.
And I got to help me pronounce his name. Joe
Manganiello. Is that right?
Manganiello. That's Deathstroke. Yeah, exciting, mate. I mean, you know, it's just adding. It's just this just steamrolling now, isn't it? It's just being added to, and it's just like,
yeah. So
crazy.
Basically, what we're talking about is Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I will say is an exclusive in itself, not from us. Obviously, in the Hollywood Reporter article, that it states that the film is officially being called Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not the Snydercut, not Justice League Director's Cut, not anything else. It's going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I feel personally is the right kind of name for it because of everything that's happened. Now, we are here because we're talking about Joker and Deathstroke coming back to do some additional photography. Now, we're doing additional photography at the moment. They're adding in some bits, aren't they, to what is a probably incomplete film, but now they're changing it. So let's get on to the casting list with who is going to be with Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello. Ooh, that was better. At the moment, they are filming reportedly with Ben Affleck's Batman, Ray Fisher, Cyborg, and Amber Heard, who is Mira, obviously. Now, that's an interesting third edition there, you know, especially with what I feel they might be doing, you know, and this is completely, you know, tinfoil hats type of stuff. But how do you feel? Like, how do you feel about them currently reworking the film, changing it to what they're going to be doing? You know, what's your initial thoughts with the Joker and Deathstroke being in a Justice League film? Let's go with that first of all.
Well, is it true? So have they only got 2 weeks, have they? Is that the time limit, or is it flexible? Or
the problem is, right, is you've got to look where these reports come from. Now, Hollywood Reporter, it is seen as a reliable source because they do have like strong links to the corporation, to the big companies and things like that, right? So from what I've seen, it's a short-ish sort of shoot, right? They are, from what I can gather, from little bits of information from interviews with, you know, Snyder here and there, and, you know, people high up with Warner Brothers, those that are still there, at least, you know, they're spending around 70 million, right? So that's a lot of money. Now, that's not all on the shoot itself. That's obviously on finishing the VFX from the stuff that they're using from the original shoot, etc. So I think 2 weeks is probably a reliable kind of number considering what everyone is reporting that they're doing in terms of small kind of interlinking
I'm guessing he's
bits.
beefing up basically what he's already got.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. So before we start kind of like fan casting, using our tinfoil hats, trying to work out how this is all going to come together, let's give some facts, right? So Zack Snyder's Justice League, it was announced May 20th, 2020, during Zack Snyder's watch-along commentary weekend with his Man of Steel. At the end, they showed his thing was going to be coming. Now, why are we here? Unfortunately, a lot of people decided to make some really shitty decisions and ultimately retooled what was going to be his original film, following on from Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, retooled it to be ultimately Avengers Light with the man who brought the Avengers. Now, a lot of people walked in the film, saw the theatrical cut, and ultimately thought that something was a bit squiff. Let's fast forward. That was in 2017. We are now in 2020. So lots of passionate people like me, more people, well, not passionate people like me, but those that were willing to dedicate a lot more time than me as well went steps further in order to generate the excitement and awareness of the potential of there being a more organic Zack Snyder's cut. Let's fast forward. We've got this now, and ultimately it's going to be 4 one-hour episodes on HBO Max. In the end, once they're all there, they're all going to come together. He's going to make a 4-hour cut of it, and I'll be honest with you,
I'll be able to buy a nice little box set of it, haven't you?
Well, yeah, exactly, and I think ultimately once it's kind of streamed online in terms of their HBO Max services and whoever they decide to use in the UK, which is something that we're still in the dark about, really, to be honest. They are going to be releasing a 4-hour version, which is combined of everything from what I can understand. Now, one of the main, or a key difference, should I say then, is the aspect ratio change. Now, they're going to be going not regular widescreen, and I apologize if I butcher this, the way of actually saying the amount, but a regular widescreen film is usually in 2.391, right? Zack Snyder's Justice League, because of the way he shot the film, he's going to be bringing it 1.661, which is very unconventional. Best way to describe it is it's going to look like a 4:3 image, so the old school kind of, I guess, retro TV. When you watch like an old movie or something. The
Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
Simpsons
the older
get shortened in, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not exactly that size, but for, normies, should I say, respectfully, that's kind of how it's going to be looking like.
Right, okay.
Like, ultimately, it's not going to be filling your whole screen wide. It'll fill your whole screen up.
Right, okay.
But ultimately,
It'll definitely give it that stylization, though, won't it?
Of a comic book, yeah, that's what I mean. It'll look rather panel-y, in my opinion, anyway. But really, what's really going to be happening with the Zack Snyder's Justice League is that you're going to be restoring Snyder's true vision for all these characters. Tonally, the way the philosophies of the film, it's going to be denser. The color grading is going to be more authentic to Snyder. We won't have any CGI mouth. Like, Rob, how did you feel when you saw Justice League and it opened with that hideous job on Henry Cavill's mustache?
Well, as you know, I didn't actually see it in the cinema.
Did you not? This is a revelation to me.
Did you not know? We did briefly speak this year about it, but there was a lot of stuff going on. There's no point going into detail. But I didn't see it, and I remember sitting down, and my wife was with me, but she wasn't. I think she may have been on the computer or something like that.
Yeah,
and obviously it's from the start. That
straight away, it's the first shot. I
looked at her and I went, "They're being serious." Like, literally, because I didn't really, I'd been not reading many comics at that time, and I sat down. I thought, is this for real? They've okayed this as a, I mean, I mean, whether they were rushed,
well, they were ultimately,
So I get it. I understand why people don't. I mean, the film isn't great. I mean, there are some bits where I quite like as a superhero fan, but it's ultimately lacking in some sort of
Substance.
just like feel or emotional. Just nothing there. Like even when you get to the end bit, I know we've talked about it before with Man of Steel and Batman and Superman, but when you get to that end journey and you're completely behind them, emotionally, physically, everything. But with this, it was just like, oh, okay.
Well, like you exactly the start of like the film, right? Let's go back to that. My brother and I went to watch it in a midnight screening, right? And he's not a comic book fan, but he likes watching them. Now, he doesn't really enjoy Batman v Superman. He thinks that it's, not enough jokes. He's basically the antithesis of me, right? When it comes to comic books.
There was a lot of people didn't, like, that I know personally as well, didn't enjoy that film. But,
That's fine. That's fine. Totally cool. Right? That's cool. But
it's superb.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But he looked at me and he went, have they changed Superman? Is that Henry Cavill? And I went, no, I'll explain later. Whilst I clearly was distraught at the fact, because I'd heard rumors, Henry Cavill's had to reshoot a load of scenes and he's got a mustache and blah, blah, blah. They've had to CGI her out. I genuinely thought the internet was taking the piss. And then and honestly, to this day, when I first saw that like shot of him, I just thought, why? Who okayed this, as you said? Who said, yeah, do you know what? This is fine. Like, and it's not even on the fault of the CGI artists, I'd say. It was just an ill-advised move. Like, it's just they were rushed. They forced the film. They reshot 90 pages, reportedly, 80 to 90 pages of the film 6 months before it was meant to come out. So, and all of that was inclusive of, Superman. All the Superman scenes are fundamentally reshot, or at least a lot of it where he shows up, and Snyder shots then are used for kind of additional kind of treatment in there. A lot of people that know the two
substance,
directors,
but just prettier stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But like, ultimately, as we're talking about the 2017 reshoots, let's talk about what's not going to be in this Justice League, right? So, as we said, CGI Mouth, not going to be there. Henry Cavill will look his wondrous, handsome self once again.
Did they ever, because I don't actually, I own it on digital through Google Play.
I know what you're going to say. Don't
Did they ever... No, they never did any other version, did they, for Blu-ray or anything?
Why, you thought that they'd spend more money to make sure that the job was done properly?
I've seen people online try it.
Yeah, and they do a better job. And again, it's not the fault of the CGI company, the effects company.
It's not going to make a difference to the film anyway.
No, exactly. Unfortunately, that was just one of the many kind of like, oh, why?
Sorry, dude. Yeah, you were saying.
No, dude. It's what we're here to talk about, because ultimately, there was a lot of forced jokes and inappropriate visual gags that when I saw them, I was like, this is more than, just a couple of link scenes, like sewing together the pieces that Snyder had already done, which is how it was sold. I think that's the biggest problem with this, is the theatrical cut, when they went into reshoots, was sold as, oh, we're only, touching up what Snyder wanted to do. That's the biggest problem. Had they not said that, had they gone, oh, look, we're bringing Joss Whedon in, blah, 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 and, he's going to have redoing a load of stuff. We're going to make it brighter, blah, all that kind of stuff. I'm glad we're at this point
people
now.
Maybe wouldn't have reacted as different,
No, because you wouldn't have had that little nugget of being, people would have gone in there and gone, this is definitely not a Zack Snyder film. However, you were given the false sense of reassurance from the company making it that it was going to be. And again, it's only a movie, but with everything that's gone on with this film and the behind the scenes drama, there's more than just a movie at stake. There's a lot of, serious stuff happened. So forced jokes, inappropriate visual gags. Unfortunately, I believe that The Flash was a lot. I feel that The Flash was, the character was hindered, because I don't believe that the character is going to be in like portrayed the same way by Ezra Miller in, you know, this Justice League that Zack Snyder is going to be.
I think he definitely needs to be that that sort of relief.
I think he's still going to be the relief.
Yeah, whether it's Barry or Wally, whoever you know, because obviously we saw growing up, it's definitely, well, in the comics, but, you know, definitely in the animated series, whereas Wally, he was that relief, but he was that sort of basis for the team. But with this, it is needed, that sort of, those little moments, because unfortunately, a lot of the Justice League characters are quite dark characters. You know, there's no way, you know, going around it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even Superman is you know, his basis, his whole upbringing, his life, his world, you know, is Krypton, you know, it's quite a sad story, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You've hit it on the nail on the head. I still feel he'll be the levity, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be as forced, you know. There's not going to be any jokes about brunch. There's not going to be, you know, any inappropriate visual gags that during a very serious scene where parademons are all around you and you've gone through this wondrous slow-mo shot, and you're not going to get him tripping in the Speed Force and then ultimately falling on top of Wonder Woman for that horrible visual gag. You know, why was that necessary? Also regurgitated from Avengers 2 as well, which was horrible the first time, that joke. Ultimately, it's a poor joke that shouldn't have been in there. Like, I just don't understand why that type of stuff was put in there.
It's been done a million times before, though, isn't it? That's a problem. You know, like, I'm not saying that that's, you know, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like you said, not suitable. No need for it to be in there. Especially.
Yeah, and I was going to say
in that
as well,
sort of scenario, you know, if they were like I'm not saying that there should be, but, you know, like, say if they were like practicing or training together, it was that sort of light-hearted moment. Yeah, you know, maybe something like that. But when it's like, it's just
nobody in Steppenwolf, like.
Can you imagine that happen? Like you haven't got time for that shit.
But that's what I mean. That's like, you know, and ultimately we ain't gonna have no Russian family. We ain't gonna have no Red Sky.
I like that. For me, I completely agree. Like I think the right idea that was there for that, especially with the Flash, because you have that sort of grounded character. But you just had no link to it. It was out of nowhere. It was just,
yeah.
But like I you know, yes, basically, you know, I'm good with having that eye on the ground and seeing those sort of people being rescued. But yeah, it's just like, you know,
it was just very.
It needs to be like a side, you know, maybe on the extras there should have been like a half an hour video to get to know the family beforehand, and then it could have been, you know, meant something. But
well, yeah, exactly. You know, and like the Red Sky, the oversaturation of everything, you know, just
it's like me trying to fiddle with my phone, mate, you know, sometimes. You know, when you're trying to fiddle with the pictures, having a bit of, exactly. You know, you don't know what you're doing.
You just put the saturation up too much, because basically they were like, oh, it's too dark. Okay, let's turn all the saturation up, and everything looks just, you know? But also, we're going to see the return of Junkie XL / Tom Hollenberg on the score. And yeah, I'm so pumped for that, because as well, that was one of the, for me, when I watch films and movies, TV, being a musician, the music just changes the way that I feel about things. It can really like touch you, you know, it can really make you feel emotion.
That's what you know, yeah, that's what it's there for.
Yeah, exactly.
Take you on that journey in the right pace, you know, and, you know, it's just...
And I feel that Batman v Superman and Man of Steel have got a very distinctive voice in terms of the soundtrack, right? And that was all missing in Justice League for, you know, I don't want to trash anyone's work because...
It's not even memorable to me, I think.
But that's it. That's what I was going to say. It's just so unmemorable. And, you know, the only things you can remember is the Superman John Williams theme and then Elfman's Batman theme, which, to be honest with you, does not fit being over the top of a Ben Affleck scene anyway. Like, it's just not the same. Just not the same. What I want to chat to you now, let's get into some spoilers.
Good stuff.
The good stuff, right? This is the stuff that through Zack Snyder Vero posts, through leaks online, through interviews, some scoopers that are reliable in terms of, they've got connections potentially to Snyder, etc. We've got a whole host of stuff that wasn't in the theatrical cut that was originally meant to be in there. Some of it, I'm sure that they're adding the extra bits in there. But let's go first of all, the main thing, Black Suit Superman. Like, when you went into Justice League, I assume that you went into it with the idea that it's going to be Black Suit Superman, knowing what happened.
It was going to happen. Yeah, you would have liked to think that they would have gone there, but no, he turned up with his his mustache. No, dude, no. Look, I wasn't, I wasn't pissed off that there wasn't one.
Yeah.
That doesn't really bother me. I do love the story behind this, though. That I was told by the way they shot it, sort of secretly, didn't they?
Well,
with the suit.
So
you explain it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like ultimately, thanks for that, because I was going to tie into that actually as well. So Snyder's explained that the studio did not want the black suit being in there, which I personally don't understand it. If you know comic books and you have even a minute amount of, respect, excitement for the source material, then you would know that doing a black suit Superman would be such a big geek thing to do. It's like such a seminal piece in the character's history, right? Now, Snyder was told, no, not happening. So ultimately, what they did is they shot Henry Cavill in the blue suit, but they lit his scenes in a way that in post-production, Snyder and his team could change all the colors in the Superman suit without affecting anything else to the silver and black. So I find that as just, A, it's absolutely devious on his end, but B, it's really smart on his end, because it gives him the option to do that later on. You still could have done it in the way
and just be able to prove it, or like at least show them, go, look, this is the point I'm making.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel with the whole more dense story arc that we're going to get with it, I think we're going to get a level of real satisfaction seeing in the black suit, and ultimately the journey back to wearing the red suit. There's got to be a reason that he wears it, not just it's there.
Well, the emotions we went through with Man of Steel, and Batman and Superman, and then it got to Justice League. He's like, okay, I'm not with it anymore. Yeah, it just negated all of that. Yeah, it was just. Yeah, but dude, I mean, you could even, I know, thinking of Witcher now, you could even rock the hairstyle,
Well, Snyder's joked about it, obviously. He was
right, okay.
He thought he couldn't get away with a mullet, and I was like, I think you should have gone for the mullet. Like, everyone's should have gone mullet. Like, I
suppose it's not the curly sort of permed mullet, is it? But
yeah. It's some cool stuff.
I wouldn't even if for just like a little bit of
he had a beard. Well, he had a beard in the Death of Superman anyway, didn't he? When he came back in the black suit.
Yeah. Like just a little bit of something.
You could have incorporated what Henry Cavill had, if they were in the reshoots originally. Obviously, that was never going to be the case at that point. But if that was the case, and you had a lot of footage with him with a tash, you could have. Surely it's easier to add more hair in than take hair away. I don't know, but. Maybe we should send a question into the corridor crew to ask.
Yeah, we should do.
But let's carry on, because there's so much to get through here. Steppenwolf is going to have a crazy new design. Now, when I saw Steppenwolf's design in the theatrical, I wasn't wholeheartedly disappointed, but I knew it didn't sort of fully carry on the look that we were suggested he was going to look like in Batman v Superman when Lex was in the regeneration chamber learning about all the Apocalyptians and things like that, So you kind of saw like the graphic of a Steppenwolf.
It didn't look as great. Like the actual graphics itself, like it just looked out of place a little bit. For me.
Well, but again, the reason is, by all accounts, is that Steppenwolf wasn't meant to look like that. From what I've seen, I don't think it's much of a stretch to suggest, and I guess in some ways people have sort of confirmed that this is the case. But as well as Steppenwolf, we've got Darkseid and Desaad, and what I assume is more of the Apocalyptian kind of family of characters going to be coming in at some point. Now, we know for a fact that Darkseid is in the history lesson, okay, which it's called a history lesson in terms of the theatrical cut. I don't believe it's going to be going down in that way. I believe it's going to be a longer scene, from what I understand. Right.
Which makes more sense if looking into the future, I suppose, with his sort of vision, even just for this film. It was the ending of this film in a similar content to what the original ending was then.
So it ends with them kind of, don't they, all the parademons kind of turn on Steppenwolf and take him back into the boom tube? That's kind of the gist of it, yeah?
Yeah.
So on Snyder's Vero, in the lead up across, over the last couple of years and whatever, his Vero account, he's always posts behind the scenes images, black and white sort of images, storyboards, etc. Now, he put up one image of what you can presume is the finale, or at least prior to this being announced was the finale. In his theatrical cut, Wonder Woman chops Steppenwolf's head off, and from what I can gather, Steppenwolf's head rolls after falling off his neck into a boom tube, and Darkseid kind of catches his head, stamps on it, and that's kind of an ending of some sort. That's what I've heard, and that's what I've seen. I can definitely confirm that the Vero post showed Wonder Woman, like some sketches and stuff of her chopping his head off with the tagline "God to kill God."
Would that be under the additional, or that was done originally?
That was done originally by all accounts, because if you actually watch the theatrical cut with the way that Wonder Woman does the initial slice where she breaks his axe, doesn't she? She slices his axe, but if you actually watch it, the way that she's lining it up, she's not lining up to it, the axe. It's just in post they changed the way that from what I can see. Anyway, so Darkseid, Desaad, like all these new god stuff, this is something that we did not see in the theatrical, bar the history lesson in its 2 or 3 minute form.
Are they gonna bring up the whole other, the new gods as well? Sorry, the other half of High Father, Orion. They like more of that? Or?
I haven't seen anything. If you're introducing, I guess, Darkseid and Desaad as your two kind of recognizable characters from that, family of characters, then Snyder's a fanboy of the comics. I'm sure he's got plans to, it's not just going to be those two standing in a room together with a bunch of parademons, is it? Like, maybe it is, but I can't imagine that being the case. I think there's think how much there is to use out there. Yeah,
with that universe. Yeah, definitely.
One thing, the Knightmare sequence, right? We're going to see more of the Knightmare sequence from BVS, or at least sort of...
is that his main thing, do you think, then, expanding on?
In terms of
his additional...
photography. Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some bits there. If you take the casting sort of calls on their face value, right? So... your Joker, Deathstroke, Batman, etc. Now, in terms of interviews with Zack Snyder and things like that, there has been little trinkets of information that have come out to suggest that there is a portion at some point within his vision where Cyborg, Batman, and Flash are in a situation in the Knightmare timeline where they've got to send Cyborg back, etc. Now, to send Flash back, obviously. Now, with regards to those two extra characters, in the trailer, you see in the Knightmare sequence when you see the Hall of Justice has been destroyed and there's little Easter eggs, the Joker card does sort of go across the screen. It flaps in the wind. It's sort of one of the passing things. If you notice it, you'll have to go back and watch it if you haven't. And also in Batman v Superman, Batman's gun has got a Joker card on it as well, right? Now, I don't know. There isn't any concrete information to say that it's definitely going to be Knightmare, but I think there's enough evidence in what we've already seen to suggest that that would potentially be one of the things that they're doing. Now, with the Joker, we still haven't seen the conclusion or seen the execution of the death of Batman's Robin, you know, in terms of Ben Affleck's Robin. You know, it's been hinted at in Suicide Squad. Or we could have a little bit of a combination of everything. Total tin foil hat it is here, right? But there was something that Zack Snyder said a couple... what was he? He was on... I think he was on the Real Emotion podcast. And he was speaking about having the opportunity as a creator to sort of shoot all your bullets and always make sure that you shoot all your bullets creatively, because you never know if you're going to have an opportunity to follow them up. So I think he's in a bit of a unique situation now where he's teased the Joker being in the Knightmare sequence, okay, to an extent, or at least having a part in it. He's teased the Joker obviously getting rid or killing Robin, but we haven't seen what that looks like. Now, we know the Joker's got gold grills, and the thought is always that Batman was the one to have knocked them out. Yeah. I personally think that there's going, like, again, total fan casting here, but I feel it would be a missed opportunity if you don't get to see anything like that, personally. You know?
Within this, then? Like where would you put that within?
For me, like, again, this is kind of just information, listening to others' opinions, kind of adding, you know, little theories together of other people's. The theatrical cut established a building of a relationship between Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen in a similar vein of what we saw in the Marvel Universe with regards to Tony Stark and Peter Parker, okay? So Batman, in some ways, was kind of like Flash's kind of father figure. Now, there has been rumors and talks that, and leaks and things like that, about there is scenes where Batman does refer to having lost his Robin in, you know, in a Snyder version of this film. So if
could literally just be like flashes and
could be, yeah, it could be like, you know, sort of, you know, Bruce retelling a story, and then you get like the phasing in of Crowbar smashing up a Robin, Batman finding him, laughter. Okay, right. What did you think of Jared Leto's Joker then?
Right, a lot of it wasn't necessarily my Joker, but that doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm like, you know, it doesn't really matter. I think I've said before in the podcast, and we were talking about it earlier, which we'll talk about now, that it just felt a bit of a waste of time when he was in it. It felt a bit like, why is he in it? And obviously we've learned now that a lot of it was cut, so it makes less sense why he was in it. And you know, I know you said as well, it'd be a good opportunity to see this character, and hopefully, you know, with the way the AyerCut is, because I think he posted recently that he's seen it now, and he went, it's good, or something like that. Didn't he? He went, you know,
He sort of said that, you know, I've recently rewatched it or something on his Twitter, and it was fire or something like that. He said,
that was it. Yeah, fire. I think it was,
or a fire emoji or whatever. You know, again, I saw a huge amount of potential in that film, and I honestly feel the film like really builds up a good amount of steam right until they're dropped off to start the mission, and then you go, why are they fighting putty monsters from Power Rangers? Like,
oh, dude.
And again, it's all there's.
It was about the PG-ness of that, wasn't it? Like, surely, because you're thinking what the Suicide Squad are about.
But it was filmed as an R-rated film, though. That's the thing. Like,
and those characters then are, because they're the sort of mindless things, then it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, though. Like, I mean, it's a similar thing. If I'm just going to go with, the recent Fantastic Four remake.
Yeah.
And like 3/4 of the way, same with that. Like the whole like building of that team was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it just hit this thing, and it was just some different engine. It was just, and the same with Suicide Squad. Just lost all of it. You just, it's that, and the whole like, again with the Justice League, it just by the time you got to the end, you weren't invested in these characters anymore. And you didn't, but like with the Joker, mate, I was a bit, I didn't. I know a lot of people going on with all the tattoos and stuff. Dude, it's the Joker.
Yeah,
Joker does whatever he wants.
I've seen
if he
Jim
wants to look like that, if he wants to look like that tomorrow, then he can.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen Jim Lee work with like big like back tattoos and stuff on the Joker and whatever. Like, it's.
But Jared Leto, I love him, mate. Like he did the Outsider film, the Netflix, like Japanese. Just like he's superb, man. That guy. Like what he puts his mind to.
This is the thing. He's a great actor. Like, for me personally, I didn't love his Joker, but at the same time, I wasn't going to on it from a high height because we got, 7-8 minutes of source material to go off? Like, I've looked at different threads and stuff online to see if someone's calculated it properly. Ultimately, it ranges from about 7 to 9 minutes in terms of screen time. I'm sorry.
He seemed like a wise guy, didn't he, at some point? I'm just trying to think. It's been a while since it was like his voice was a bit like, he was obviously like, it
was like a Don, a gangster.
And he was like an Italian, like like he seemed like a real wise guy at like certain points when he was talking.
Yeah, but again, all of that in that such a small space of like, little instances.
Like you said, 7 minutes. What was it?
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
And people.
No wonder I thought, why is he?
Yeah, and like people saying, oh, he's the worst one, blah blah blah, and I don't think you can compare that performance with any of the other Jokers because it there's just so little to go off, So I'm really excited to see what they're gonna go with.
The chase was cool, man. Sorry, just going onto the thing, like
the chase was all the cameos and stuff in there were great. So the Flash, right? You said about the cameos and whatever in Suicide Squad. Now, Suicide Squad is set before Justice League, right? So
we assume.
Yeah. When you see the flashback of Flash catching Captain Boomerang, right? He seems very witty. He seems very much like the Flash, and he seems very confident. So why is it when you go into Justice League, the Flash turns into this like gibbering mess, can't do anything, he's never fought anyone? Like, do you see what I mean in terms of the inconsistency of how things are going? Like, ultimately,
obviously they don't mention. Like, I know there's rumors of him, his dad, reappearing. That's in the movie now, isn't it? The Flash movie.
Yes.
I mean, I know the whole Iris West thing.
Yeah.
That she's alive. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that plays a big part.
But that whole thing was all brushed over anyway. It wasn't necessarily. It was just like his character didn't seem to like. It just came out of nowhere. Like in certain points where even as a Flash fan, it was just a bit. Like there was the certain like I like the scenes with Batman and the Flash. There's some nice touches with that.
There's some horrible additional reshoot stuff in there though. It always kills a scene for me because you can tell the difference between his fringe keeps on changing and then Ben Affleck's face unfortunately keeps on kind of getting red and puffy and then chiseled again. Like
I have actually seen something on that, but yeah. Yeah, ultimately, like again, I know we're going to go into it with Cyborg, but there's just no real depth. We've already had the other three, being built up at least, and then these characters then are just like lacking in some sort of.
But again, it's
story.
one of those. It's one of those awful kind of byproducts of having that hard 2-hour cut. Like. Snyder was always going to be giving you a more fleshed out story anyways. But for whatever reason, those in power in the editing room and creative decisions on the eventual theatrical cut decided to, cut out all of Cyborg's backstory, all of Flash's backstory. Doesn't really give you much of Aquaman, considering Aquaman didn't come out until a couple of years later. All of these characters, I strongly believe, are going to have fleshed out kind of origins in that film.
Crucial part, surely, because they are those extra additions to making that team.
Yeah, because
so we need to know more.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. Obviously the Flash, you don't see that Iris scene in the theatrical. You don't really get a huge amount of stuff with his father. You don't find out how he's got his powers. You don't know really what's been going on with him. And then the same with Cyborg. Zack Snyder has said that Cyborg is the heart of his Justice League film, and obviously if you consider
he has to be, especially with all boombot technology, and
he's
definitely the way we're going it.
Yeah, and again, there's one line in the theatrical cut which suggests that he, in the larger scale of things, had something to do with everything in terms of the mother boxes and whatever. But it's when, and this won't be probably in the new the Snyder cut, but when Aquaman is sitting on the lasso of truth. Now he, when he's giving his speech and whatever, and he says he's tripping on his feet, and he might be working for the enemy. We don't know. Like, that's the only reference you got to it. However, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, that was meant to be a big fleshed out storyline, along with his, how he got to be Cyborg in the first place, the car accident, the glorious looking American football match, which we are yet to see, which I cannot wait to see. That looks so phenomenal, especially with the way they've done it, because most of it's green screen work as well, which is absolutely phenomenal when you see like the VFX breaks down of how that shot or how that scene is composed of, in terms of the different elements that come together to make it up. Like, it's absolutely crazy stuff. There's so many stuff, so many characters, the Atom, Ryan Choi, he's one of the Star Labs scientists that's working with Victor Stone throughout the film by all accounts. Deathstroke, used for that little scene at the end, that was meant to be very different. That was a reshot Joss Whedon scene by all accounts, the boat scene, or at least aspects of it. Now, Lex Luthor, he's meant to have a greater part. By all accounts, from what I understand, the talk is that, and Joe Manganiello, he teased this on his Instagram, where the Snydercut, or sorry, should I say, Zack Snyder's Justice League, got to get really used to saying that. It's nice, it flows off the tongue well. The original ending was due to be Batman versus Deathstroke, potentially when Deathstroke like this extra part now I'm adding, but basically he said Batman v Deathstroke is kind of a post-credit type of ending he suggested that's going back in. But I've also heard little murmurs about Deathstroke comes into it because he actually breaks Lex Luthor out of Arkham. So, and then that's how, him and Batman end up scrapping, which I think would be cool as hell. I think I'm all for that. The Speed Force as well, that's going to be coming in. You as a Flash fan, like, how do you feel about the Speed Force being given the Snyder treatment?
We've
already seen it as well, though.
Yeah. I think, potentially, like you said, it needs to be told. It needs to be told correctly. but not correctly, but just in any way, just so people have an idea what's going on with the character and how he taps into it, and how he's able to do these things. I mean, I'm sure that's going to come up majorly in the Flash film. Yeah, to be able to have this, and not make people guess a bit too much about the whole, him traveling back in time, and doing that sort of thing. Because it for me, that bit was, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be in the right, but it was a bit confusing to me, even though I knew what the Flash was about, and linking.
You're talking about Batman v Superman now, yeah?
Yeah. Sorry, going back to that, and then going forward to obviously what we had in Justice League.
Yeah.
So, and I know a few people to me is going, what's going on there? But Justice League needs to be explained more with the Flash background and Cyborg, because it, like you said, it is a bit.
They're just there, exactly. So. Yeah, it's.
And I think we saw in the trailer, didn't we see? I know we saw, in the original trailer. I'm just trying to think. Go back now. Didn't we see something in the apartment with a mother box, or like a flat?
Yeah. There's shots that don't show up in the theatrical cut that are in obviously the. Because obviously he's got this. It seems as if he's got the mother boxes in his house. Victor Stone, you're on about, when the.
Yeah.
There's a shot of a parademon coming over his shoulder, kind of in the flat, that which again we lost. We never saw any of that. Just all of a sudden he disappeared.
That's fine. I just thought it might have been a false memory for me then. But
No. You are correct. There's so much to talk about. We haven't even touched on the fact that there could be a Green Lantern showing up. Who that will be played by, I am not going to get into that debate because people are just arguing left, right, and centre because of it. I've seen all sorts on the online. Oh man, it's crazy. It's an absolute war zone out there. To finish off, considering how this whole thing has kind of come full circle and whatever, do you think, or how do you feel about the Snyderverse kind of being, I guess, rebooted now, in the sense that it's being given a flame up its back end, and we could be continuing it on HBO,
and maybe within the film. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think if this does catch hold and people realize, especially people who want to make money, realize that it works, then who's to say we are gonna, it may be 3 years late, but we're having his universe now. And look, I think hopefully now with the multiverse thing, if they do that, there can be something for everyone. There can be maybe a more child-friendly film versions of different characters. And there can also be, something for us to watch. And, dude, like we've said on previous thing, it's outstanding, some of this stuff we're seeing now. And just the excitement of what's going on. And there's obviously, he's obviously a good person to work with, because people are saying left, right, and centre to come back.
Everyone loves
do things with us. Green Lantern, work gigs. I know, the only things the positive things I've said, that I've read about him. I think he was going to be bringing, as far as I'm concerned, John Stewart in.
Yeah.
Or some sort of, I've read some certain places that they were going to have Ryan Reynolds. And then he was going to be an older Green Lantern, I think I read, and then he was going to pass on to a younger John Stewart.
Yeah.
I think that's something I saw. But do you know what? Bring John Stewart in. I think that'd be a great thing, especially if they do this sort of army architectural stuff, and it'd be brilliant fun. And then we can always link that within the Green Lantern series as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't think because of politics that those worlds will wholeheartedly connect.
Right.
You and I think, know why, and people that know why. But
are you on about Ryan now?
Well, no, I'm on about.
Are you on about the Green Lantern?
The Green Lantern series and the Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't believe they're going to mix. I believe they're going to be very separate entities and creatives behind those properpies.
All right, I didn't understand. So and so is behind that one.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
No, it's gonna be so interesting, man. Like, this has been for me a long kind of, I guess, 4 years it'll be eventually now, after Batman v Superman. 4 or 5 years, and I think I'm just happy for him. Like, that he gets to have his cathartic moment releasing this film that he worked so hard for and tried to get through some real difficult, personal times, and depending on who you believe, was treated really badly. So the fact that we're getting a Justice League filled with what a lot of people would say poetic justice behind the scenes to get this there, I'm all for it. If you don't like it, then you don't have to watch it, and
or at least watch it, and then you can make a judgment. And if you don't like it, then don't watch it again.
Well, yeah, exactly. because 4 hours is a big commitment to make for some people, So, but I will take that cape opera every single second of it. I will. I'm sure I'll love it. Like, I'll be blinded to it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, dude. I'm looking forward to us watching it at some point. Actually, that's gonna be good.
Hopefully together at some point as well.
Yeah, that would be actually really nice. Yeah, it would be. So with that in mind, I think we've rambled on enough, considering our initial thought was to just talk about the Jared Leto and Deathstroke news. So
cut that bit.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we are the Chalk of Oa. This has been a short chalk, or not really a short chalk, but whatever. I'm Neon Tinted Tom. This is Piece of Vita. We are the Chalk of Oa. Like, subscribe. No star. Thank you very much.
Take care, guys.